A top NXT star is set to become a free agent, plus we have more details on the signing of Logan Paul to WWE. All this and more in today's WWE news. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. So let's start off about a WWE superstar, a WWE NXT superstar that could be set to leave the company next month because their contract is set to expire in the month of August. That being former NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. Yes, Io Shirai could be on her way out of WWE imminently. Now, in the latest issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer is reporting that Io Shirai has not put pen to paper on a new WWE contract offer. She will therefore become a free agent in the month of August if she does not sign a new deal. Now, Shirai has reportedly informed people in Japan she plans on returning home to be closer to her family once her WWE contract expires. Now, unlike Kairi Sane, who returned to Japan midway through her contract and agreed to work with WWE as an ambassador in her home country, Shirai would be free of all of her obligations to the company once her contract runs out next month. Therefore, unlike Shirai, who's just joined Stardom earlier this year after her WWE deal officially expired, Shirai could do that straight away if she wanted to. As Kairi Sane joined Stardom, Io Shirai could do that. I'll get there in the end. Now, Meltzer added that there is no expectation in Stardom that Shirai will return to her old stomping grounds, but that said, Shirai would be eligible to sign with Stardom next month unless she agrees to sign a new extension with the WWE. Now, the Observer's report made no mention of Shirai's potential interest in going to WWE's competitors in North America, such as AEW, Impact Wrestling, or any other promotion for that matter. Now, herself, Shirai, she hasn't actually wrestled since the NXT Stand and Deliver event in April, where she lost a fatal four-way for the NXT Women's Championship. Last month, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reported that Shirai had, quote, been dealing with an undisclosed injury, end quote. While there was no mention of the severity of the injury, the report noted that Shirai was not factored into any of NXT's plans for the summer, and the issue is that her contract expires in the summer. She's not factored into plans. Looks like she's going to be leaving in the very immediate future, doesn't it? Now, the report added that Shirai was, quote, very well liked backstage in WWE, and company officials had no plans to rush her back from injury. Now, of course, Shirai has been signed to WWE since May of 2017. Never made it to the main roster, but has had some spectacular matches, moments, and years in NXT. Her career really truly took off once she turned heel, which was in 2019, if I'm correct. 2019, I believe so, during the feud with Candice LeRae and all that kind of stuff. I expect her to leave, honestly. I think that we're seeing, this is the pattern, isn't it, of those people, that it was the same for the men and it's the same for the females in NXT, that Io Shirai, to me, doesn't fit in the current NXT 2.0 landscape. She is a remainer from the NXT 1.0, I guess, the black and gold era of the brand. She's way too good for NXT in terms of quality and in-ring ability and a character. She should have been on the main roster a really, really, really long time ago, especially in the situation where it is now, when you're looking at, particularly I think of the SmackDown brand, where I just say, man, they're just, someone like Ronda Rousey needs opponents. And they just need stars. They need that show is so bland and bleak, male and female, because of course there's no Brock. I know Brock's just come back, but he's part-time. Roman Reigns, who holds all of the bouts, is part-time, and that's not a slight to them. They're just not on the show all the time, and there is a massive, massive lack of star power on that show. And it's the same with the women's division. Ronda Rousey came back. I think that was WWE's hope, that she would come back and she would be, because she's Ronda Rousey, she would have this popularity and people would be interested. The thing is, Ronda Rousey came, Ronda Rousey came back and people kind of forgot, and it means no disrespect to her, but people forgot she's kind of boring, like, to be honest. As a character, she is kind of dull. She lacks a proper edge. Ronda Rousey is at her best, and it was the same when she was a UFC fighter, when she's a heel. You know, I know Ronda Rousey likes to be liked, and I know she likes to be the babyface, and she likes to get a positive reaction, and every time she gets booed, she gets angry and starts shouting at the audience and saying that they're disrespectful, or they don't appreciate what she does. I certainly appreciate what she does. She came back, she had a baby, and she came back to the WWE just months later. It's insane. But she's better as a heel. because that's what the audience wants her to be. And Io Shirai coming to SmackDown, she could have a great feud with Ronda Rousey, but I suspect it's going to be a similar situation to Kairi Sane, in that Io Shirai is going to want to go back, be closer to home, especially now with the pandemic being where it is. Certainly not that it's over, but in terms of travel, travel to Japan and between Japan and the United States is easier, getting certainly easier, to a point where Shirai can do it more frequently, and she can work matches for Stardom, and she could also do shots if she wanted to over there in the United States as well and across Europe. So I suspect that we might be seeing the beginning of the end for Io Shirai in WWE, which is a shame. It's a shame we never saw her on the main roster. But I also think that I'm not sure if she could have actually replicated her success, frankly, on the main roster that she could have in NXT. And that's got nothing to do with her quality or her ability. It's got to do with WWE's track record. You look at someone historically, if you can't really, I know Io Shirai can talk very good English, enough that everyone can understand her, but if you can't cut a promo, or if your accent is even the slightest bit difficult to understand when speaking English, Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, Kevin Dunn, they have no interest. You know, the only real exception to that rule is someone like Asuka, who has had tremendous success on the main roster, almost in spite of the lack of ability to cut that promo. And the reason why she's got away with it is because she did what she just did in NXT. She just spoke Japanese and said nobody's ready for Asuka. That's about it. But you look at someone like Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura's had success in terms of being an Intercontinental Champion, a US Champion, a Tag Team Champion. But that main event run was very short-lived, primarily because Vince McMahon thought, he can't really cut a promo. And everyone knows that's not true. You can understand what Shinsuke Nakamura is saying, but to Vince McMahon, that's not marketable, pal. That's the issue. And I think that Io Shirai might have had similar issues had she got to the main roster. But look, this could be completely different. Shirai could sign a new deal with WWE, and then we could see her on the main roster, but I think that's really unlikely at this point. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about Logan Paul. I know we did a video about this yesterday when the news was just breaking, but I mentioned yesterday that Ariel Helwani had some details on Logan Paul signing a contract with WWE. It's a multi-year deal entailing him to compete at multiple events per year. This is again according to Ariel Helwani. Now, as per the deal, Paul will actually be wrestling at an undisclosed number of premium live events across 2022 and 2023. It's unlikely he'll be doing matches on, say, Raw and SmackDown, but I guess anything's possible. One would assume WWE has a certain amount of dates booked, or they've already mapped out the events that they're going to have him wrestle at, whether it be SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, something of that nature. Probably those four, or maybe Money in the Bank next year, something like that, and the same the following year. Helwani added that Paul is likely to make a TV appearance prior to his SummerSlam match, and it looks like it's going to be against The Miz, of course, picking up their feud from WrestleMania, where they were tag team partners. But no return date is official for Logan Paul as of recording right now. Now, he and WWE released a statement and a video with comments from the new WWE, I guess, superstar. He said, quote, "So I just signed my WWE contract with the support of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. This is a massive deal, but let's get one thing straight, because I don't want to get it twisted. I did not sign this contract to team up with The Miz. In fact, I want nothing to do with The Miz. That man is dead to me. He is my enemy, and I signed this contract so I can beat The Miz's ass at SummerSlam. Let's go." I mentioned yesterday the idea of Logan Paul signing a contract with WWE. I really don't have an issue with it, to be honest. I think it's a good move. I really do. I think that he's tailor-made for WWE. His fame, his notoriety, his charisma, certainly the athletic background, it's all there. He's tailor-made for it. He is completely showbiz. And I thought he did fantastic at WrestleMania 38. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And with more training, who knows what this guy can do for WWE going forward. My concern is that Logan Paul wants to be a babyface, and it was actually written into his initial contract with WWE earlier this year that he would be a bad guy. He would be a villain in teaming with The Miz, but what had to happen at the end of the WrestleMania match was The Miz turn on him. That's why it felt so random, didn't it? When The Miz turned on Logan Paul after their match at WrestleMania, everyone went, that was weird. Why? And the reason if it felt off, is because Logan Paul said, yeah, it's going to happen. I've got to be the good guy, I guess, because that's how he wants to be perceived. He's got a reputation and brand to protect, pal, and that's why. So if Logan Paul thinks he can be a WWE superstar and be a babyface, he's got another thing coming. You know, The Miz will get cheered. The Miz, if The Miz can get the fans to boo him instead of Logan Paul at SummerSlam, We'll see, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that eventually they'll have to pivot to Logan Paul being a heel, because that's just what's going to work. Embrace it. It's not a bad thing. The world champion, the undisputed universal champion, is a bad guy. Bad guys can sell merch. Bad guys can be money. And it's just a character. Ultimately, this is entertainment. If you want to be perceived as a good guy in real life, or you want to protect your brands and your merch will still be protected if you're portraying a bad guy on TV, because everyone knows it's a work. So don't work yourself into a shoot, brother. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.